If you've had anything like this in your kitchen in the last 2 weeks, a bag of salad, pre cut lettuce, a fast food taco, I need 3 minutes of your attention, and then you can decide what to do with them. Because right now, across the country, that lettuce is carrying a parasite that's putting people in the hospital. The news is calling it the explosive diarrhea parasite. Its real name is Cyclospora, and the CDC and FDA are tracking an active outbreak tied to recalled lettuce as I'm recording this. Now, here's what almost no one is telling you. In a younger body, this parasite is a miserable few days. In a body past 60, it can settle in, hit harder, and turn serious while everyone around you is still calling it a stomach bug. And the people it catches hardest usually aren't careless. They're the careful ones, the ones who don't like a fuss, who figure it'll pass the way. Things always have. So I'm going to give you 8 warning signs seniors should never ignore. 7 your own body will give you. And they start so small you'd swear it was nothing, and then they climb. But the eighth sign isn't a symptom at all. It's not something you'll feel in your body. It's a mistake that happens after you've done everything right, in a doctor's office in about 10 seconds. And it's the reason careful people stay sick for weeks with an illness that was completely treatable. That eighth sign is the most important thing I'll say today, so I'm holding it for last. And one more thread I'll leave you with at the very end. 30 years ago, this exact parasite caused a nationwide panic, and for months, everyone blamed the wrong food. An entire innocent industry nearly collapsed for it. The real culprit was only found because one person refused to accept the obvious answer. I'll tell you who and what it teaches you right at the end. Welcome to Dr. Evelyn Voss, where what the science actually says becomes plain English. Let's start with sign number 1. First, quickly, what this actually is, because it changes how you read every sign that follows. Cyclospora is a parasite. Too small to see, taste, or smell. It gets in through contaminated fresh produce or water. Here, the recalled lettuce. And it is slow. The CDC says it can be about a week from the bite of salad to your first symptom. A week. So by the time your gut turns on you, the meal that caused it is long forgotten. And that gap is the single biggest reason this slips past smart people. Keep one question in your pocket as we go through these. Not, what did I eat yesterday, but what did I eat in the last 2 weeks? Now, the signs. Start with the obvious one, because the obvious one is where people fool themselves. Cyclospora announces itself with watery diarrhea. Frequent, sudden, the kind people call explosive. That word is in the title for a reason. But here's the thing. Everyone's had a bad day or two. That's not this. The tell isn't how bad it is, it's how long. A run-of-the-mill stomach bug packs up and leaves in a day or two. Cyclospora settles in and stays. Days, and untreated, the CDC says it can run for weeks. Their own word for it is prolonged. So sign number 1 isn't diarrhea. It's diarrhea still here on day 3, day 4, not backing down. That's your cue to stop calling it something I ate. Number 2, and this is the one that catches the careful people. This is the cruelest one on the list, so I'm putting it early where you won't miss it. With Cyclospora, you can start to feel better. The diarrhea eases, your energy flickers back, you tell your family you're over it. And then it returns. The CDC specifically warns this parasite can relapse, remit, and come back in waves. And look, think about how perfectly that's built to fool a reasonable person. The moment you feel better, you stop watching. You cancel the appointment. Why waste the visit? You're better. So hear me on this. Feeling better is not the same as being better. A stomach illness that got better and then came back is not bad luck. And it is not a second bug. It is practically this parasite's name tag. Write that sentence down. You'll use it later. Number 3, watch the plate. One of the quieter signs is that food simply stops appealing to you. You're not hungry. You skip a meal, then another, and you don't much care. On a younger body, skipping meals is nothing. Past 60, it's different. You have less in reserve. An illness that keeps you from eating pulls you down faster, your strength, your steadiness, your footing. And here's the quiet math that starts here and matters later. Nothing going in. And with the diarrhea, everything going out. Run that equation for 2 or 3 weeks, and it becomes sign number 5, the one people don't notice until their clothes stop fitting. So, appetite gone for 2 days or more, no other reason, that's not eating light. That's the illness taking its toll. Number 4, Cyclospora rarely travels alone. Alongside the diarrhea comes the whole miserable convoy the CDC lists: cramping, bloating, gas, a churning nausea that finishes off what's left of your appetite. On its own, each is easy to wave away. Cramps, something I ate. Bloating, just gas. But put them together with diarrhea that won't quit, and it stops looking like one bad meal and starts looking like an infection that's moved in. The skill here is to notice the cluster, not the single symptom, because a parasite isn't a 12-hour thing you sleep off. It stays until something removes it, and you can't treat what you keep explaining away. Number 5. Sign number 5 is the receipt for the 3 before it: unintentional weight loss. The CDC lists it directly, because this runs for weeks, not days. Now, on any other day, I dropped a few pounds without trying. Sounds like good news. Here, reframe it completely. Unplanned weight loss is never a free gift. It's the bill for weeks of poor absorption and skipped meals printed on your bathroom scale. The number every medical source treats as a flag: more than about 5% of your body weight in under a month, roughly 8 pounds on a 160-pound frame, with no diet behind it. If your scale is drifting down and you didn't ask it to, date it. That single dated note turns "I've felt off" into evidence a doctor can actually act on. Now they start to stack. A deep, heavy fatigue the CDC calls a hallmark of this infection, and in some cases, it lingers even after the digestive symptoms ease. Not sleepy, drained. People describe needing to rest after a shower. Two things are draining the tank at once: the fluid you're losing and the food you're not absorbing, because this parasite damages the lining of the small intestine where absorption happens. That's not tiredness you push through with coffee. And here's the detail that fools people, so read it carefully. With Cyclospora, fever is often low grade, or missing entirely. Most of us use fever as the referee. No fever, not serious. That's the rule we grew up on. This parasite breaks that rule. You can be bloated, crampy, drained, losing weight, with a perfectly normal thermometer telling you you're fine. So learn this: a normal temperature does not clear you. Don't let a thermometer talk you out of everything else on this list. Number 7, and this is where I need your full attention. One quick word, then straight back, because sign 7 is the emergency one, and then the 8th sign I'm holding. This is the very first video on this channel. If it's already told you something nobody bothered to, subscribing is what decides whether YouTube shows this warning to the next person who ate that lettuce and has no idea why they're sick. That's all I do here. One health thing they rush you through, explained plainly before it's an emergency instead of after. Sign number 7. This is the sign, really the cluster that separates a bad week from an emergency. Lightheaded when you stand. Dizzy. A cloudiness in your thinking. More forgetful than usual. Just off. And you're hardly passing any water. And what there is runs dark. That is dehydration. And past 60, it is not a small thing. Here's the part the news skips: the real reason this parasite is more dangerous after 60. So many people your age take a water pill or a blood pressure medicine, a diuretic, an ACE inhibitor. Stack days of fluid loss on top of a medicine that's also moving fluid, in a body whose thirst signal has quieted with age so you don't even feel how dry you are. And the guidelines are clear where that can lead. Acute kidney injury. In plain words, this parasite's dehydration, on top of those medicines, can strain the kidneys badly. And it doesn't stop at the kidneys. A dried out body gets weak and dizzy. And a dizzy person falls. That's the chain almost nobody draws out loud. A parasite in a salad becomes days of fluid loss, becomes a dizzy spell at the top of the stairs, becomes a fall. That was never really the diarrhea. It's everything the diarrhea sets in motion. And the twist families miss most. When an older person gets confused, everyone blames age or tiredness. So the one symptom that should trigger a phone call is the one that gets excused. Learn this line: new confusion in an older person who's been sick is a medical sign until proven otherwise, not a mood, not old age. And here's the red line: the point that means today, not tomorrow. If you can't keep down even small sips of water and you've gone hours with almost no urine, you cannot replace what you're losing on your own. For anyone your age, that is not wait and see. That is urgent care or the emergency room the same day. A few hours earlier is very often the whole difference. So, those are the 7 signs your body hands you. But there's the 8th sign. the one that isn't a symptom at all, the one that can hurt you after you've done everything right. Almost there. First, one quick question. Did you, or someone in your home, eat any bagged or pre cut lettuce, or a fast food salad or taco in the last 2 weeks? Tell me in the comments and tell me your state. I genuinely want to see how far this has reached, and it tells me what to cover next as the outbreak develops. All right, before I give you that eighth sign, I have to clear one dangerous idea out of the way, because it's the exact trap that catches the people who do the right thing. It's this sentence: my test came back normal, so I'm fine. That sentence sends more careful people home, still sick, than almost anything else here, because it feels like the end of the story. You went in, you got tested, they said normal, so it must be something else. And look, I understand completely why you'd believe it. A normal test is supposed to be reassuring. But with this parasite, your test was normal and you don't have it are not the same statement. And the reason why is the eighth sign. The whole reason I made this video. First, what to do right now. A quick word on not repeating this. The thing people refuse to believe: you cannot reliably wash Cyclospora off. The FDA is blunt about it. It clings to the surface and hides in the tiny crevices of a leaf, and the produce rinses you trust don't reliably remove it. A rinse handles dirt, not this. So, I'll just wash it well is not a plan. Throwing out the recalled product is. Now, one piece of good news to lift a worry off your plate: a strange, almost elegant piece of biology. This parasite does not pass person to person. It can't. When it leaves a sick body, it isn't ready to infect anyone yet. It has to sit in soil or water for days to a week or two to mature first. So, if you're caring for someone sick with this, you will not catch it from them. Not from the same house, not a hug, not from cleaning up. This one does not tear through a household like a stomach virus. So let's turn all of this into things you can do today. 1. If you have recalled lettuce, bagged or pre cut first, checked against the current recall linked below, throw it out, not to the back of the fridge, in the bin. You already know washing won't save it. 2. For the produce you do eat while this is active, cook it where you can. Heat kills this parasite. Favor a whole head over bagged mixes and strip the outer few leaves. Rinse anyway, just don't let the rinse fool you. 3. If you're having these signs, hydrate seriously while you arrange to be seen. Small, steady sips, not a glass all at once. With prolonged diarrhea, dehydration is the real emergency, especially past 60. 4. The rule I want every person over 60 to keep: watery diarrhea for 3 days or more. Don't just keep pushing fluids and hoping. Call your doctor. 3 days is your line. Younger folks have room to wait it out. You have less reserve, so you get seen sooner. That is not weakness. That is being nobody's fool. And it's at that doctor's visit, the one I just told you to make, that the eighth sign is waiting. Here it is. Here it is, in the eighth sign, the one I've been holding. I called it a warning sign on purpose, even though you won't feel it in your body, because it's the one that lands careful people right back on the couch, still sick after they did everything right. And it happens in about 10 seconds at that doctor's office. You'd assume I go in, they test a stool sample, the lab finds whatever's in there. That is not how it works. A routine stool test is built to look for bacteria: Salmonella, E. coli, Campylobacter. Cyclospora is not a bacterium, it's a parasite. And the CDC states plainly that labs do not test for it unless it is specifically requested. Let that land. The standard test can come back completely normal while the parasite is right there in the sample, because no one asked the lab to look for it. That is the whole story behind your test came back normal. It's not a lie, and it's not a bad doctor. It's a box that never got ticked on a lab form, and it sends people home relieved to stay sick for weeks with something that was treatable the whole time. So here is exactly what to say. Word for word, this is the sentence this entire video was built to give you. Given the Cyclospora outbreak, I'd like to be tested specifically for it: an ova and parasite test, or a stool PCR panel that includes Cyclospora. Ova and parasite, the O and P test, say the name. And this parasite hides. It's shed in fits and starts, so one clean sample doesn't clear you. They may need a few on different days. Don't ask by name, and you can be sent home still sick with a normal looking result. And hand them the story, not just the request, the 3 facts that point a doctor straight at this. I ate bagged lettuce in the last 2 weeks. It's gone on more than a few days, and it eased up and then came back. Leave those out, and even a good doctor can chase the wrong thing for a week. You're not being difficult, and you're not playing doctor. You are doing their hardest job with them. That is what a second opinion actually is. And one last piece, because it's the difference between fear and hope. If the test is positive, this is treatable. There's a specific prescription your doctor will know for Cyclospora. This isn't something over the counter medicine fixes, and it's worth telling your doctor everything else you take so they can choose safely. But follow the chain backward. No test, no diagnosis, no diagnosis, no treatment, no treatment. And the CDC says this can drag on for a month or more. The entire chain hangs on one sentence, and you now know how to say it. Now let me bring the temperature down because I never want to leave you frightened. This is treatable. People come through it just fine. And the ones who do best simply caught it, named it, and spoke up. That's the whole edge, and you now have it. There's a pattern any experienced clinician would recognize instantly. Two people, same age, same parasite, same recalled salad. One toughs it out, feels a little better, thinks it passed. And by the weekend, it's dehydration, confusion, and ambulance. The other brings the story, asks for the test by name, and treats it at the kitchen table with a prescription. Same parasite, same body. All that changed was that one of them knew what you now know. So here's the one sentence I need you to carry out of here. Being tough is what got your generation through everything. But with this parasite, toughing it out is the exact wrong move. The strong thing, the smart thing, is to notice early, name it, and speak up. That's not being fussy. That's being your own second opinion. Let's bring it together. 7 signs your body gives you: watery diarrhea that won't stop, the relapse better than back, appetite and weight falling away, cramping and nausea together, an exhaustion that flattens you with a fever that lies, and the emergency cluster: dizzy, confused, barely any urine. And the 8th sign, the one that isn't in your body, the test they won't run unless you ask for it by name. Do me one favor, the one that matters. If you know somebody over 60 who eats out, keeps bagged salad in the fridge, or is a little too tough for their own good, send them this today. This outbreak is happening right now, and one share might keep someone you love off a hospital drip this week. Now, the thread I promised you at the start. In 1996, this same parasite swept across North America, its biggest outbreak on record. Hundreds fell ill, and everyone was certain of the culprit: California strawberries. Growers were ruined. An entire honest industry took a beating for the wrong fruit. Because a team of disease detectives at the CDC refused to accept the obvious answer. They traced it meal by meal, table by table, and found the parasite had actually been riding in on imported raspberries all along, tucked into the crevices a rinse could never reach. The obvious answer was wrong. It took someone willing to ask a second question to find the truth. And it's the reason we can trace this parasite to a specific field today. And that is the whole job here, too. Everything I've told you comes down to one habit. Don't accept the first easy answer about your own body. Not, it's just a bug. Not, your test was normal. Not, it's just your age. Ask the second question. That's how you stay ahead of this, and how you keep the people you love out of a hospital bed this summer. Take care of yourself, stay sharp, and listen when your body whispers, so you never have to hear it scream.